Hey everybody, AJ O'Neill here, talking to you about how you can make six figures typing on a keyboard. Tonight, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time, so I'm picking a very tiny subject. I'm going to touch a little bit on testing. Now, I do want to do a much larger segment on this later on, but for tonight, we're just keeping it simple. I just want to talk about one of the reasons why sometimes testing doesn't work. And I'm not going to give the solution to that problem yet. I'm just going to kind of introduce it and let you mull over it for a little bit. Sometimes the reason that testing doesn't work is because the requirements aren't clear. And sometimes the requirements aren't clear because they can't be. Now, why could we not make the requirements clear? Well, it's about unknown unknowns. When you're going through a course or a boot camp, college, etc., and you get a homework assignment, you're given a problem that already has a definite solution. It's already known that it can be solved, and there's already been a good way to solve it presented. In those scenarios, when you're doing test-driven development, it works great because you know what the problem is, you know how to solve it, the requirements are clear, and you just kind of A, B, C, D, E. Often when we do API development, we're not quite sure yet where things are going. The specs are not clear. And when the specs are not clear, we have a hard time writing tests because we don't know yet what we're testing. A lot of times we're given a product idea that's not spec'd out and we're told, here, go build this. And we start to build it. As we prototype, we discover what it needs to be. And if we had just taken a guess before we prototyped and wrote the tests and then wrote the code to the tests, then we'd just be changing it all anyway. Now let's consider another scenario, like for example, writing a packer and parser for some sort of data format, such as DNS. If you write the packer for that format to how the data goes together, the only way that you can validate or test that you did it correctly is if you also write a parser. So if you write the parser for that format, the only way that you can validate that the parser is correct is if you also have a packer for the format. So the two things need to go hand in hand. If you do not have one of those things already built, then the only thing that your testing is doing is confirming that your original understanding matches what your original understanding is. So it's kind of a cyclic problem. So there are scenarios where testing is more difficult, and that's a real thing. So if you're in that situation, I want to let you know that it's not just you, and it's not your fault per se, because it's not your responsibility to create the specification. As a web developer, it's the responsibility of your manager or product owner or chief architect, etc. But it is your opportunity to step into a greater role. So I'll leave you with that thought. I hope that was helpful. If you liked it, like it, and subscribe for more like this. Adios.